guys, and welcome to the Market Manipulation Podcast, the world premiere podcast created for the purpose of discussing new implementations, betting strategies, or events surrounding Manifold Markets with at least one episode uploaded for public viewing that is somewhat high quality and is 10 minutes or longer by market close.
I'm Jacob Cohen.
And I'm Andrew Imbens.
So we're trying to be a real podcast now.
Yeah, with my help.
Yeah. I was talking about this, and then Andrew, it apparently realizes a major dream for Andrew. We have to tell the listeners the Manifold Markets group chat says hi. So if you're unfamiliar, this podcast is about a website called Manifold Markets, where you can bet on real world events
with fake money,
and you personalize it with fake money, and anyone can make markets, and so it's a lot of fun. The only way to go to the website is at manifold.markets/refer=conflux. That's conflux with a capital C. Again, there is no other way to go to this website than to type in manifold.markets.
There's actually another way to do it, which is where instead of conflux, you write Imbens, capital I, and it's IMBENS.
I don't think that will go to the right website.
I think it will. But anyway, you have enough money anyway. I don't know what you're talking about. Literally, you've got thousands and thousands of money.
That's kind of true. Yeah. So,
I'm an everyman who's...
That's true.
I'm not one of these rich Manifold elites. I'm like an everyman who's your ordinary, everyday bettor who can really sympathize with the listeners and audience.
Andrew is here to represent the listeners. Andrew is a very relatable person.
It's true. I'm very relatable. I'm generally a very honest person. I'm a very, I'm just very down to earth.
Was never presented false facts in any context, I think.
That's definitely true. And I should also be the next person to get the trustworthy badge.
You should give Andrew the trustworthy-ish badge.
Mm-hmm. Not even trustworthy-ish. I want one that just says trustworthy.
Yeah, you wanted to make him a new badge. That's good. So we don't know if there's going to be a third episode, but we wanted to make a serious second episode and see what the reaction to that is.
Yeah. And... if this ends up being a competitor for Crystal Ballin, then, well, who knows? We were already established
Crystal Ballin
first.
even a real podcast?
Not right now.
Exactly.
Yeah, they have to get sound equipment.
That's true.
We already have it.
Yeah. So first, we wanted to respond to some criticism of the previous episode, some listener feedback. So Isaac King writes, "I would like to issue you an award for worst sound quality I have ever heard in a podcast or any online audio recording, really." So we're an award-winning podcast.
Right. We had, the next piece of review that we have is, for the next podcast you record, please rub the microphone against sandpaper more often. I think this was something that this one lacked from Bingeworthy. And most of the reviews were positive also. But there was
You don't think those were shining positive reviews?
They were. Yeah. The sandpaper, I mean, asking for something that wasn't there is kind of not really criticism anyway.
Yeah. I mean, we're running on a lower budget anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, so some people also felt that this podcast may have been too dry and scripted last time. So this time we're winging it. We're just two people having a conversation. We've done absolutely zero planning and zero outlining, basically.
There's no prep work that went into this at all, actually. Jacob just showed up at my house today. He walked to my house.
I did walk. That's actually
He walked
true.
to my house. My house is miles away. It takes 20 minutes to drive. He walked to my house, and he also went the wrong way.
Some people dispute what is truly the wrong way. I would have gotten there eventually.
He faced criticism for his directional choices.
That's true. Yeah. So one other thing that was not present in the last podcast was theme music. We haven't figured out what the theme music is going to be.
Yes, we have. Don't tell them that. By the time they hear this.
Oh, yeah. We have definitely figured it out. And so the thing that you're about to hear is something that we recording this definitely... That's our theme music.
Yeah, that's our theme music. We've got it. All right.
So, Andrew, I have an idea that I'm just thinking of right now.
Oh, really?
What if we had a segment where we talked about some of the latest news in Manifold Markets? Do you think people would like that?
That sounds like a really good idea. I really like this plan. I mean, I'm an everyman, and I don't have time to spend all of my time on Manifold, and I also don't really know what's going on Manifold a lot of the time since I don't do that. Versus Jacob, on the other hand, spends all of his time on Manifold and knows everything that's going on there.
That's true. I know everything. So one thing that they added recently, have you looked at your calibration plot, Andrew?
No, actually, I haven't. Should I do that right now?
You should.
I should do that right now.
Live. So if you go to your profile, and the listeners can do this too and should look at it.
Okay.
And you press calibration.
Where's there's calibration.
Right there's calibration.
Okay, I see. It's next to referrals.
And then you can see a graph which shows how calibrated your percentages are.
How do I know what does this mean?
Well, you have a grade of D.
And D being delightful?
Yeah, so I mean, calibration is really not so much about your score, but about how to improve your betting. Because in theory, if you are betting something to 75% and it happens 80% of the time, then you should be betting yes up to 80%. And so when I first looked at my calibration graph, I was really looking for areas of possible improvement. It seems like I was underestimating the probability of events over 50%, for example. But even though I've had a lot of bets, I still think the way it's structured, it's like dominated by a few particular markets. I was betting a lot no on the Georgia runoffs. I was also betting a lot of no on Katya Grace's green card materials.
Oh, right. I remember that one. Yeah, you spent a lot of time...
I like betting against
people. You talked about that so much.
I did. I like betting against people's personal goals.
Which might be another topic for the podcast at a later time, perhaps.
That's true. Well, I'm supporting them when I bet.
Does that mean that if I made a personal goals market about whether we're going to have more episodes of the podcast, you'd bet against it?
I don't know. Well, we'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think if you look at your calibration graph, like if the dots are far enough from the graph and you look into that and you think, like, I really was overestimating or underestimating the probability, then that actually can be a tool to be a better predictor. So I think it is a valuable thing. What yours shows is that when you bet yes at a market at 90 or 80%, it never resolves yes, which is embarrassing for you.
So what else has been going on with Manifold?
So they also rolled out shirts.
Oh yeah, I have a shirt.
Yes, we both have shirts, and no one else.
But Jacob's shirt smelled like vinegar, and my shirt smelled normal.
Yeah, I'm not trying to slander Manifold because I don't think anyone else has mentioned their shirt smelling like vinegar. But my shirt smelled like vinegar, so I don't know. It's fine. I don't care that my shirt smells like vinegar.
But it did smell like vinegar.
Yeah, Andrew confirmed that.
Yeah,
but it was very cool. I did not get recognized by anyone in downtown San Francisco, like from Manifold. You
should have written at Complex.
Yeah.
Okay, so that ends this impromptu segment. Yeah. So now that impromptu segment was really interesting, and I learned a lot, especially about like calibration and stuff, and also about vinegar. In addition, I think one thing that I could help talk about, is the everyman. I don't know all the stuff about like Manifold, like technical details, but I do know quite a bit about what happened with Proof. So Jacob had been on Manifold a lot longer than the rest of us. He says 6 months, not sure if that's true. For a while,
like early 2022.
Yeah, for a while I would hear him like talk about various things related to the platform. And I was not super interested because I thought it was about political bets, and I knew that Jacob was super into knowing things about politics. For example, when he was 9, he would send out these color-coded maps of the Republican primaries to all of us by email. I don't know anything about politics, so I didn't really want to join a politics betting site. However, he did do something good for me on there because we were playing Semantle a lot at that time, and we really wanted an infinite version of Semantle like there is for Wordle. And he made a market to see whether or not he would discover one, and somebody gave it to him. And I thought that was pretty cool, but I still wasn't super interested.
Yeah. It is true that like I originally joined like a lot for the political markets because like I had heard about like Predicted and other websites, and I thought they were like cool as a way of like seeing the probabilities of future events. And when there was like a platform where anyone could create markets and you could bet with fake money, that was really big for me because it was like democratizing prediction markets. And so I really enjoyed it very early. But yeah, I couldn't convince anyone else to join.
Yeah. And I mean, I would watch him and I was like vaguely interested, but I didn't want to join. It wasn't until later when he got Audrey to join. But...
Yeah, no, we were like talking about music in general, and I think she was like playing a lot of Candy Crush. That's not really related. I mentioned that. So in the early days of Manifold, some younguns may not know this, but
younguns. Yeah. Fun fact: did you know that Jacob is younger than me?
They don't need to know that.
They
for all they know,
I
could be older than you.
You're actually more than 6 months younger than me.
I could be older than you. I'm taller than you.
They don't know how tall you are.
That's true. It's taller than you. Andrew's obsessed with crime.
Jacob is a criminal.
If someone confesses to committing a murder to you, do you have... I didn't see the end. Anyway, so I was actually unprofitable for a while, and there weren't like unique better bonuses and betting streaks and stuff. So like you had to like be profitable to make mana. Anyway, so I casually mentioned this when I was talking to Audrey, who I hadn't like pushed Manifold on like very hard. So I like didn't think that she would join. But then she joined and like placed bets. And then that was really important because I used it to convince Andrew to join.
Right. So I was at the time, I had been gone all summer. And I was coming back and I was hearing about this and I was really like entranced by the idea because we had been discussing like markets about people's personal lives at that point, and I thought it would be like that would sort of be like kind of like Jacob has his own fantasy that like he's living in like a Truman Show and there's a bunch of prediction markets about him. From
I
random
like the
people.
idea of the fans betting.
Yeah, so Jacob is at that fantasy. I thought it would be really fun if we had just like a bunch of markets betting about each other's personal lives. Like I thought that would be a lot of fun, and
Andrew
so
did have a lust for drama at that period of time.
yeah, until I actually like found yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna cut that bit, but
Yeah.
I had just entered in a new relationship at that point, and Jacob proposed the idea of creating a dating market, is a market about whether or not me and my girlfriend at the time would still be together by a certain point. And
I just assumed that you like wouldn't want to do this.
yeah, but I had a lust for drama, remember? And also
That's true.
yeah, and there were a couple other reasons. So I was interested in the idea.
Yeah.
And well, we can talk about dating markets more perhaps in a future episode if
depending on funding and other things.
Yes.
We'll discuss that at the end of the podcast.
But for now, I think the main point is that became the way that everybody else joined, because we would talk about that, and I would talk about
it sort of broke the news to people.
yeah. So I'd be like, oh, I'm in a relationship, and then I'd also be like, also you can bet on like look at what Jacob did. You can bet on whether or not it'll last. And so people joined, and I got a lot of referral bonuses that way, and so did Jacob.
There used to be 500 mana referral bonuses, and that was how I made like my first fortune on the website. It was like disgusting.
Yeah, it is kind of disgusting.
Yeah,
shame on you. Anyway, I think my referral bonuses paid for my T-shirt.
I'm sure they did.
Yeah. Anyway, I don't make that much money. But people like kept joining, and then with our school, one thing that happens is because everyone's math class is at the same time. So, and since there's not like a tiny number of students, that is kind of difficult for them to work out. And usually we get our math classes only like right before they're about to start. And so I made a market about which day the math classes would come out. And this was also the establishment of the Proofniks group. This is why I'm the creator of the Proofniks group and not Jacob. Jacob at the time didn't believe in groups. And so I'm the supreme leader of the Proofniks group, while he is my assistant admin. Yes. I generously made him an admin also, but it's anyway. So after the initial boom with that and people kept joining because people would talk about it, it's true that I think only a portion of those people actually stayed on. There were a number of people who joined, placed like one bet on a relationship market, and then stopped. And a number of people went on to become Manifold personalities like Josh Brower.
Yes.
Who's now a new moderator on the Proofniks group.
True. Yeah. I was actually very surprised by how many people joined and how much they continue to use Manifold Markets. Like at first it was very much just like I have this obsession and like, oh, I've gotten a few friends to join it. But then there was a point when it became much bigger than me at Proof. It was spreading kind of like wildfire.
The teachers know, sort of, and now they're super suspicious whenever Jacob asks them about a probability for anything.
See, I like knowing probabilities of events in general. Like I like when people quantify their uncertainty. But now they just like assume that I'm betting, which is fair because sometimes I am.
Yeah,
so it's kind of awkward.
Well, one of the teachers on the Jaws market, the teacher Jacob was like, "What do you think is the probability that, like Andrew's Jaws thing will be accepted?" And she was just like, "Yeah." It made me feel good because it was a higher percentage than I'd been told before. Mm-hmm. So,
but apparently it was like a slightly different question than the market was actually asking about. So I think I lost money,
but oh yeah, she had it lower than.
The question was like, will the Jaws theme be like good enough? But I was asking the teacher of like, will it actually be used? So that was like a different question.
Okay, yeah, and I mean, then it just kind of kept growing, and now there have been like several waves. I think, as you said earlier, there've been like waves of people joining, and the fact that there's like 60 people in the group or something, and only some of those are duplicates.
Well, on the group chat, there's like 50 something people, I think.
Yeah, now. Which is insane. So
and it's a super small school, so we're approaching half of the school. There's a market you can bet on it. We'll link it in the description or something.
There's some of the users are not the most mature that we've brought, I think. and some of them like will misresolve markets or like make markets that are like just super misleading, and that I think has been a bit of a negative side effect. But other than that, like we've contributed to like we've been enough of the user base that we've been noticed, which is pretty cool.
The fact that Manifold still doesn't have private markets is kind of both like a blessing and a curse for Proof on Manifold, because like on the one hand, it's kind of awkward sometimes having the markets like being able to be bet on by like all internet strangers, and like kind of limits the markets that you're like comfortable to creating.
Yeah.
So, but on the other hand, it is kind of fun to have like internet strangers like bet on markets and offer like their perspectives, especially when they don't have all the information. It's kind of.
But I think the things that you'd want to make on private markets, you probably would not want to put on Manifold anyway. Or
well, sometimes you want to make markets about people or about like teachers. Or something.
yeah, that's true. Yeah, and maybe like I know like actual things if you really want to bet on something super personal, then you just make like bet with your friends. I'm actually a super profitable bettor. Fun fact, I've made a lot more money gambling than Jacob has, like completely legally, don't worry about it. But like I've made more than $1,000.
Andrew does like gambling, so that's why I thought Andrew.
I like gambling. I don't like losing money though, so I don't like gambling like with actual. But I've made over 1,000. No, okay. This is probably illegal, right? I can't say that. Anyway, this podcast is also not edited. We're just talking. There's like no cuts or anything.
We're professionals at this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some people thought that the first podcast was too smoothly produced and had too many cuts, which is why for this one, this is just raw, unfiltered content. We're just having a conversation.
Yeah. I mean, even the theme music just came naturally in.
That's true. Are we going to use that? I think we should use that.
Yeah, I think we should use that. And so, okay, I mean, so we've told, like, most of the public story of the proof market. There's a lot of, like, while we were thinking about, while we were recording this episode, as we've been speaking, and thinking in our heads.
We can telepathically communicate.
Yeah, and as we've been thinking in our heads about what sort of, things we should be talking about regarding proof, we did realize there's, like, quite a number of things in Proof's history, in like the history of Proof School Manifold community that we can't talk about. Like, there's a lot of stuff we just can't talk about. That's like a problem, and that's very funny. But is there anything that like we can talk about that you think we should note? Like highlights.
Yeah. So there was a market about whether Proof School would be in person every day of the school year, which I think was actually a time. So since a lot of the markets were like joke markets, some people don't think that Manifold has actual uses. But I do think that this particular market was a useful place to aggregate information and predictions, where like a lot of times people don't talk about things with percentages, and it makes it hard to know like how likely is it that we'll be in person every day of the school year. Especially there was some flooding, and the market went down to I believe like 20% at some point.
I don't know. We literally didn't make it through like a single block last year without going online. I thought it was like easy money.
Yeah. But
I'm bitter about this.
But we haven't missed a day so far, even though it was at 20%. It went back down.
Well, we're getting another atmospheric river, so maybe it'll wash away all of the money away from you.
It's at like 80-something% right now, I think.
This is a disaster. Anyway.
But, yeah. Another big market was about whether there would be a Proof School dance. I was betting. Well, it was at like 80 or 90%, and I thought that was too high because nothing had been announced yet. And it turned out that I was mostly betting against the people who were organizing the dance. So maybe I should have been more skeptical of insider trading.
Yeah, well, you've been encouraging insider trading this whole time. There was another important market in our history. Are we allowed to talk about this one? Is Allison right?
Sure.
Yeah, because so there, as you said, it went to the front page and made them change the rules about what could be on the front.
I don't think it caused them to change the rules.
I thought you said that. Well, they changed the rules to do it.
Well, I think it was before they had official rules, but it was like trending number 1 on Manifold.
Yeah.
At the time, and the market was just is Allison right? There was no further specification.
I felt a connection to that one because I'd bet no because I thought it would be funny, but then it turned out that I actually caused myself to lose money there because I was the one who had to be consulted about if Allison was right or not, and then I couldn't really lie about it, to be honest. So. That this was kind of a disaster for me, but I thought it was very funny, and I feel like It's been a crazy ride. It's been a fun source of drama this year. It's caused a lot of problems and maybe it's caused some friendships to fracture and split
I don't
apart.
think it's caused friendships to fracture.
Stop interrupting me. It's caused this friendship to fracture and split apart right now from this interruption.
Wow, Andrew. Manifold has brought new friends closer together and has strengthened the bonds of the Proof community. We've had a lot of fun.
By the way, can you like change the range on a number market?
After it's made?
Yeah.
No.
Because I literally need to do that for the dactylic hexameter one.
No, you just resolve it to the highest if it's above.
Yeah. I should probably close it.
Okay.
Anyway.
We could do this live.
We could do this live. I'm going to close it live.
Okay. A market closure is happening right now.
Yeah, I just need to scroll to the right place.
Yeah, Andrew made a market about how many lines of Latin poetry defaming my character would be written. And it has now exceeded... I bet lower, but it has now exceeded the maximum bounds of the market.
Because I didn't think I'd be able to do it. It turns out I'm like actually super good at writing dactylic hexameter in Latin, especially when it's defaming Jacob. Like, Jacob is my muse poetically. Like, we're taking a creative writing class, and a lot of my best poetry has been about him.
Yeah.
My best work hasn't, because I wrote an awesome short story, but it was like not about him at all. But all of like poetry wise, I can write about Jacob. Like, that's what I can do. You know, we've all got. How do I can I close it?
Yeah,
and not
you have
resolve
to
it?
resolve. Wait, why would
I don't want to resolve it.
Why don't you want to resolve it?
I mean, is it like actually? I mean, I'm pretty sure it's at least 60 of the lines are probably legitimate.
Oh, well, I mean, you should check them. I guess you should check them first.
But I need to resolve it now.
Why do you need to resolve it?
Well, I mean, you should close it now.
Oh, you can do that if you want.
I mean, it makes
or close this market now.
Oh,
if you just press that.
Is it closed?
Yeah.
Okay.
Cast.
Yeah. So we're sure you're all very concerned about the future of the podcast, given that we haven't like officially committed to more episodes.
Yeah, we're gonna wait to see what the response from the audience is.
We better
and
not
how we feel.
Yeah, we don't want to get any. If they're like talking about the sandpaper, sandpaper is not in our budget. If you want us to have sandpaper, you need to send like Venmo it to us.
Yeah. Yeah. So. Yeah, we have some ideas for things that might be interesting to discuss, or just to react to the latest Manifold news or Manifold markets that are interesting. But we do have another option.
So first of all, there might be a dating markets episode in the future, which would be full of excitement. But more importantly,
I shouldn't promise that.
I'm not promising. I said we might. We said we might. I'm not promising. I'm not promising. Anyway,
we might also interview other notable members of the Manifold Markets community.
Yeah,
we'll see.
Yeah. We've got some people who'd be great to interview if should they agree to be interviewed by us. Anyway, the other option is if we could get funded through Mana, your Mana specifically. What's our funding goal?
Our funding goal is 6,000 mana.
6,000 mana. We want 6,000 mana. And
what we'll do with this mana is keep it and possibly reinvest it for us.
Yes.
Markets.
Yeah, and so we want 6,000 mana, and we want it to be sent to our email using mana referral links. Our email is
not. You mean mana links?
Mana links. Mana links. We want not referral links. Mana links. We want it. We want it emailed to marketmanipulationpodcast@gmail.com.
Mm-hmm.
We do not need 6,000 mana from each person, but rather 6,000 mana total.
If you can contribute 6,000 mana, that would be great. An individual.
Yes.
We will give you a shout out, maybe.
We want 6,000 mana, and then Jacob will commit to another episode.
Yeah. I'm very busy. I have a lot of other priorities.
Yes, and I'm also very busy.
But we care about excuses to get free mana.
Yes.
That's why we started this podcast.
Yes. So it's also the case that should we reach a lesser goal, for example, 3,000 mana, we would strongly consider.
That's true.
Writing more. I mean, I would be very excited. I would love to do more. It's just that, like, you know, I have to work other jobs also to support I just got new chickens. One of them is named after Jacob. Another one is going to be named Plebeian 4, like the Shakespeare character from Julius Caesar, specifically Act 3, Scene 2, and Act 3, Scene 3. In any case, I need to support my family of chickens, and mana is the only way to do that. So
we need to keep this podcast sponsor free.
Yes, we need to, yes.
Also, if anyone's interested in sponsoring this podcast, we would be interested.
Yeah, if we don't get the requisite mana, then the next episode, should there be one, would include at least one sponsor.
Would it?
Yes. Yes. I don't know why you're doubting me. It would include
We never
a sponsor.
talked about that. Sorry, we never talked about anything, actually. I mean,
Yeah, this is why I'm telling you for the first time.
Yeah,
This is a conversation between friends.
Exactly.
Gotta keep it real.
Yeah.
Anyway. Yeah.
But yeah, thank you for listening. Remember to like and subscribe, and you don't have to
like and subscribe.
No, and leave your feedback in the comments. We may discuss it on future episodes. You can also, again, bet on Manifold Markets in general. Again, the only way to get to that website is manifold.markets/?refer equals conflict with a capital C.
Imbens with a capital I.
Yeah. So yeah, see you next time.
See you next time.
Bye.
If with 6,000 more mana. Wait, is 5,000 of that going to you?
We can discuss how to split it later. Proportionally, it would be fair.
What if I edited it so proportionally?
These are
complicated. For you, 5,000 mana wouldn't make a huge it would be important, but it wouldn't make such a huge amount in your
exactly.
That would be
so proportionally for it to be worth it to me, you should.
But it would change my life.
That's true. We can discuss this.
We can discuss this later. All right.
If you send mana, you can discuss how you think it should be split.
Yes.
And then we may ignore you,
or we may not.
That's true. Yeah.
Specifically, if you talk about giving me more, then we might not ignore you.
Yeah. Wait, you just made the email, so you can control the email.
You have the password also.
What's the password?
You should need to think. We're not going to discuss this on the air. Bye. Thank you, everyone. We love you all.
Bye.